Are you in which English level right now? Are you a beginner, intermediate, or advanced learner? Do you know which topics and skills you should already know at your level? And more importantly, do you know how to level up your English step by step without feeling stuck or confused? If you've ever asked yourself these questions, then this video is exactly for you. So stay with me, because today we're going to make everything clear. Hey everyone, I'm Liam and welcome back. If this is your first time here, you're listening to the EngSkill Podcast, a place where we help you grow your English step by step with confidence, clarity, and real-life skills. Now let me ask you something honestly. Have you ever felt like you're studying English, but not really moving forward? Like you understand more than before, but when you speak, something still feels missing? Or maybe you know grammar, you know vocabulary, but you don't feel fluent, confident, or natural? If that sounds like you, you're not alone. And today's episode is exactly for you. Because today, we're talking about how to level up your English. Not just in theory, not just on paper, but in real life. Before we talk about how to improve, we need to understand something very important. We need to understand English levels. Because you cannot move forward clearly if you don't know where you are standing right now. So let's start there. English is divided into levels using a system called the CEFR. You may have heard these names before: a 1, a 2, B1, B2, C1, and C2. But many learners memorize these letters without really understanding what they mean. So let me explain them in a simple, human way. At the very beginning, we have a 1. A 1 is the true beginner level. This is where English is brand new for you. At this stage, you can say your name, where you're from, maybe your job, and very basic likes and dislikes. You understand very slow English and only simple sentences, and that's okay. Everyone starts here. Then we move to a 2. A 2 is still basic English, but now you're a little stronger. You can talk about your daily routine. You can order food. You can ask for directions. You can have short conversations about familiar topics. At a 1 and a 2, we usually call this basic level English. You're building the foundation. Now, something interesting happens when you reach B1. This is a big moment in your English journey. At B1, you are no longer a beginner. You can communicate. You can travel. You can have conversations. You can explain your opinions even if they're simple. You can understand the main idea of movies, videos, and podcasts. This is why B1 is often called pre-intermediate. You're independent now. You don't need help all the time. But here's the problem. This is also where many people stop improving. Because B1 feels comfortable. You can survive. You can communicate. So your brain says, this is enough. But comfort is dangerous when you want growth. After B1 comes B2. B2 is what many people call intermediate, or sometimes upper intermediate or pro-intermediate. At this level, your English becomes smoother. You speak more fluently. You understand native speakers better. You can discuss more complex topics. You can work or study in English with fewer problems. You still make mistakes, of course, but communication feels natural. And then we reach C1. This is the level that truly changes everything. At C1, English stops feeling like a foreign language. You understand jokes, sarcasm, and hidden meanings. You express ideas clearly and confidently. You can work professionally, study academically, and socialize comfortably in English. This is the level many learners dream of. And finally, at the top, there is C2. C2 is near native level. You understand almost everything. You use English flexibly, precisely, and naturally. So to summarize in simple words, a 1 and a 2 are basic. B1 is pre-intermediate. B2 is intermediate or pro-intermediate. And C1 and C2 are advanced. Now that we understand the levels, let's talk about something very practical. What should learners actually know at each level? Because improving English is not just about time, it's about knowing what to focus on. At the basic levels, A1 and A2, learners should focus on survival English. This means everyday topics, talking about yourself, talking about your family, talking about food, shopping, time, and directions. At this stage, pronunciation, basic grammar, and understanding slow speech are far more important than sounding perfect. If you are at this level, your job is not to be fluent. Your job is to communicate. When you reach B1, things change. Now you should be able to talk about experiences. You should be able to explain opinions. You should understand the main idea of conversations and media. You should start reading articles and writing short texts. This is the level where confidence starts growing, but also where frustration often begins. Because now you want more. You want to sound better. You want to express deeper ideas, but you don't always know how. At B2, learners should focus on expansion. This means expanding vocabulary, improving fluency, understanding fast speech, and learning how English really sounds in real life. Idioms, phrasal verbs, natural expressions, and better pronunciation become important here. And then, at advanced levels, C1 and C2, the focus changes again. Now it's about nuance, precision, style, formal and informal English, academic vocabulary, professional communication, accent awareness. Now comes the most important part of this video, the part that really matters. How do we actually level up? Especially if you're stuck at B1 or B2. Let's imagine you are at B1. First of all, congratulations. You've already done something big. You're no longer a beginner. But this is also where many learners stop growing. Why? Because B1 feels safe. You can watch shows with subtitles. You can travel. You can survive conversations. So your brain thinks, I'm done. But if you want fluency, if you want confidence, if you want to feel comfortable speaking English anywhere, then you must push beyond comfort. The first real step to leveling up is simple but not easy. You must speak more. Not later. Not when you feel ready. Now. You don't wait to speak until your English is perfect, because speaking is what makes your English better. You can join conversation groups. You can find language exchange partners. You can speak with friends. You can even speak with AI tools. And yes, you can speak to yourself. In the mirror. While walking. While cooking. It might feel strange, but it works. Recording yourself is also powerful. When you listen to your own voice, you notice mistakes, unnatural phrases, and pronunciation issues. And awareness is the first step to improvement. The next step is listening. Real listening. Not just lessons, not just textbooks. Listen every day to content you enjoy. Podcasts, YouTube videos, TV shows, movies, and when possible, listen without subtitles. If that feels too hard, start with subtitles, then remove them. Watch something twice. And focus not on individual words, but on phrases, chunks, expressions. English is not built word by word, it's built phrase by phrase. Reading is another powerful tool. Reading helps your brain start thinking in English. Read articles, read blogs, read graded books. And don't stop for every word. Focus on what repeats. Focus on what feels useful. And read out loud when you can. Writing is just as important, because writing organizes your thoughts. Write messages, write short texts, write diary entries, write comments. When you write, you see your weaknesses clearly, and that's a gift. Mistakes are not enemies, they are teachers. One of the strongest ways to improve is immersion. Surround yourself with English. Change your phone language. Change your apps. Follow English content. Think in English during your day. When you walk, think in English. When you plan, think in English. When you remember yesterday, think in English. This changes your brain. Another key idea is learning in chunks. Stop memorizing long lists of isolated words. Instead, learn phrases, natural expressions, collocations. These make you sound confident and natural. Feedback is also essential. Practice without feedback can lock mistakes in your brain. If possible, get feedback from teachers, partners, or tools. Write down your common mistakes and correct them consciously. At higher levels, it's also important to mix formal and informal English. Life uses both. You might need English for work and English for friends. Expose yourself to both styles. Consistency matters more than perfection. You don't need hours every day. 15 or 20 minutes daily is powerful. Build routines. Attach English to your daily life. And finally, stay motivated with clear goals. Why do you want better English? Work? Study? Travel? Confidence? When your goal is clear, motivation follows. Leveling up your English is not about talent. It's about direction, habits, and courage. If you feel stuck, it means you're growing. Keep going. You're closer than you think. Thanks for listening to the EngSkill Podcast. If you found this helpful, like the video, subscribe, and keep leveling up your English. See you in the next episode.